Top Saudi intelligence official chased to Canada by MBS. Even after he reached Canada, source says Saad al-Jabri was harassed by Crown Prince and may have been the target of a rendition attempt. The Canadian government gave refuge to a powerful former Saudi intelligence official deemed a threat to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's rule, three sources familiar with the matter have told Middle East Eye. Saad al-Jabri, once a trusted top advisor to the Crown Prince's rival Mohammed bin Nayef, the former interior minister with deep ties to Western intelligence agencies, is described by some observers as the most wanted Saudi outside the kingdom. Jabri fled the kingdom in 2017 just before bin Nayef was put under house arrest and replaced as Crown Prince by his 31-year-old cousin. His refuge in Canada raises new questions about an unprecedented diplomatic row between Ottawa and Riyadh in the summer of 2018. On Friday, bin Nayef was among several royal family members and officials arrested by the Crown Prince in what is believed to be his latest bid to consolidate power. The Saudi government has yet to make an official statement on the arrests. 3 years earlier, it was his loyalty to bin Nayef, his decades-spanning knowledge of the inner workings of the kingdom's powerful interior ministry and his substantial personal wealth which made Jabri a target of the young crown prince and sent him running. "Let's assume that there might be a coup in Saudi," said a source familiar with the situation who spoke, as did all those briefed on the events, on condition of anonymity. "He's the biggest threat. He would have the money and power to do something." A second source says even in Canada, the former official continued to be pursued, receiving intimidating messages from Mohammed bin Salman. There was also concern that there was a rendition attempt on Canadian soil to bring Jabri back to the kingdom, the source said. ME has been unable to independently verify this source's account. Canadian Security Intelligence Services declined to comment. A Royal Canadian Mounted Police (RCMP) spokesperson told me, generally, only in the event that an investigation results in the laying of criminal charges would the RCMP confirm its investigation, the nature of any charges laid and the identity of the individuals involved. Me sought comment from Jabri and his family through several channels, but did not receive a response by the time of publication. But sources briefed on what happened say they believe it is important that details of his ordeal come out because they further reveal the lengths to which the Crown Prince will go to pursue his perceived rivals. During his time in the kingdom's interior ministry, Jabri was closely involved in counter-terrorism activity and served, in particular, as a conduit between bin Nayef and Saudi religious leaders. With the beginning of Mohammed bin Salman's rise to power in January 2015 following the death of King Abdullah and the accession of King Salman, a power struggle brewed inside the ministry between Jabri and another high-ranking ministry official, General Abdulaziz al-Huwairini, two sources told me. Both Jabri and Huwairini are understood to have had close ties with U.S. intelligence services under the leadership of Nayef, who had established himself as a key interlocutor even before the 9/11 attacks for the Americans. But the tensions came over their loyalties, said the sources. Jabri supported bin Nayef, who was then the crown prince, while Huwairini favored Mohammed bin Salman, setting the stage, as the young prince grew increasingly powerful, for both Jabri and Nayef to eventually be pushed out. In September 2015, Jabri reportedly met with then CIA Director John Brennan during a trip to Washington that Mohammed bin Salman had not been made aware of. When Jabri returned home, he was fired by royal decree. Washington Post columnist David Ignatius would later write that Jabri's dismissal should have been an early warning sign that Mohammed bin Salman could jump-start the kingdom, or drive it off a cliff. By June 2017, it was Nayef's turn. That month, he was deposed, ousted from his roles as both crown prince, and heir apparent, and interior minister, and placed under house arrest in a palace. After Nayef's ordeal, Huwairini, too, was reportedly removed from his position and confined to his home briefly. U.S. officials told The New York Times at the time that the loss of both Nayef and Huwairini could impair intelligence sharing with the kingdom. But within a month, Huwairini was promoted to lead the newly created State Security Directorate, which is in charge of national security and reportedly took domestic intelligence, special operation forces and counter-terrorism activities off the Interior Ministry's hands. By then, Jabri was already weeks into his escape. After initially fleeing through Germany in the summer of 2017, Jabri traveled on to the U.S. and is believed to have stayed in the Boston area. During this time, he wrote a blog post for Harvard University's Belfer Center. However, despite extensive relationships with the U.S. intelligence community as Saad, two sources informed on the matter said he did not feel safe in the U.S. with Donald Trump in power. Instead, he went to Canada where officials secured his refuge in November 2017 and, a month later, several members of his family. A third source with knowledge of Jabri's situation told me that when he arrived in Canada, he was being chased by the Saudis who were willing to do anything to get him back. He suggested that Jabri preferred Canada over the U.S. not necessarily because of any specific security concerns, but because it may have been easier to bring his family to join him. Me asked Global Affairs Canada, Canada's foreign ministry, if the government had protected Jabri and his family and why, and whether the Saudi government had given the impression they wanted him back in any communications with Ottawa. A spokesperson responded only, Global Affairs Canada does not comment on bilateral communications between states. A spokesperson at Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada said the ministry does not comment on individual cases. Me contacted Saudi embassies for comment but had not received a response at the time of publication.